What's up, everyone? Farmer Taiki here, and welcome to episode 1 of Farmers Market, where I'm joined by Andy to discuss on-chain topics and I guess any yield opportunities that you want us to talk about. Quite honestly, we're literally just winging this. There's not that much preparation that went went into this. I literally just tweeted, hey, we're just gonna collect audience questions, and we'll be brutally honest about something is whether something is worth farming, something is going to go to zero. And for anyone that doesn't know who Andy is, I just had him on my channel, with Crypto Market Wizards. He's been pretty successful navigating on chain. Maybe not so recently, because there was this news today where Jumper, right, the bridge aggregator, got exploited. Can you talk about your experience? Were you hit by this exploit, and how you're going to navigate on chain moving forward?
Yeah, so I had some resting approvals from many months ago from some airdrop farming or alt wallets that I used, and I got lazy because I didn't want to approve it every single time. So I put an infinite approval, and usually I sweep all these wallets, empty them out, and never use them again. So I completely forgot about their existence. And today I found out that I lost like 13, $14,000 in this exploit. I thought I lost more, so I was a little worried because I knew I had some money left in these wallets, but I didn't have that much left over. So, not the end of the world, but it does hurt, and it does remind you to either not give too much for approvals, like only approve for how much you're gonna spend on the contract immediately, or to approve revoke your approvals pretty regularly to ensure your safety.
Yeah, and I think if anyone is worried about potential exploits, one thing you can do is, instead of revoking every approval, you can just send your coins to a fresh address, and then that way you can start from zero. That's something that I think about doing every single year. And in terms of the exploit, this is to my knowledge, literally, we're recording this 30, 40 minutes after this news came out. But whenever you bridge through Jumper, and you're sending something I'm not endorsing DMT here, but for example, you have to approve how many tokens, right, you're going to send to to this contract. And generally, the default is that it only approves whatever you have in your wallet. So if you did this, then you're totally fine. If you manually changed it to infinite, right, like USDC or something, then you might be exploited. But just some, I guess, something to keep in mind. Just never do infinite approvals unless it's for something that you really believe in, like Uniswap, Aave, etc.
I guess it kind of enforces the idea of a famous saying that there are bridges that haven't exploited and the bridges that aren't exploited yet. That's kind of how I feel. Of course, this wasn't a bridge exploit; it was an aggregator exploit. But every single time I use bridges nowadays, I feel kind of bad. I think multi-chain getting exploited was shortly after I started using Binance or Coinbase for bridging, started using exchanges. So it kind of hit me more. As soon as I started exchanges, all these bridges kind of started going down. I'm like, wow, it's definitely better to, if you have exchange accounts, to use it. And if you're using bridges, it's very important to be very wary of the approvals you make, which type of bridge it is, and all sorts of that. Because there's two types of bridges. One is if they just give you a balance that's canonically a bridge to a different chain. For example, if you use Orbiter and you get Ethereum on Arbitrum, but it's for Arbitrum Bridge, which is a completely different security profile from, say, if I say this, I feel like I'm funding someone pretty badly, but say Connext and you're using Renzo ETH. That's minted by Connext, or what are they called now? They have a new name, right? I forgot what they're rebranded. But if you rely your security on something like this, like a smaller company, then if their security gets compromised, then your bridge tokens also get compromised, which is usually the case. So you kind of want to share your security slash keep your bridge assets in the most safe way possible.
Right. And the worst news out of all this is that this exploit just delayed the airdrop by another 6 months. So airdrop farmers we're dying out here. And Brian Anderson, down here, is like, no. I feel the same. I've been using Jumper whenever I can, because it is a pretty good product. It's a bridge aggregator, right? But the reason we wanted to talk about Jumper is because of the Optimism SuperFest. Yay! And I'm not really sure if this is sponsored by Jumper, but if you go back to this main page here, let me just go to the top. Optimism SuperFest. I guess it's not like a real festival, but some on-chain festival, and it has all these, I guess partners, right? LRTs, DeFi projects. You can drag this thing and like just whatever you bridge,
Oh,
you participate, you
look at
enjoy.
that.
I know. You get like a wristband, so it's like we're being accepted into like a frat party. And what you can do is you can go to jumper.exchange/superfest. So maybe it's not worth bridging right now, but you can go to this website and you can kind of scroll through all these incentives, and any of these things that have like the OP badge thing, they have incentives. For example, if you join or if you explore like this Aave thing, if you borrow USDC on base, you get to participate in some share of the 58,000 OP. So I guess, Andy, I have a question for you. Are you going to farm any of this? Is it worth farming? And yeah, just general thoughts on like whether you're bullish on like these types of initiatives.
So in terms of this, I'm not actively going to farm the Optimism Superfest. I do appreciate that they're giving me free money as we speak right now because I'm farming the EtherFi loop on Aave, which lets you loan out ETH and borrow ETH, and I'm getting paid OP from both sides of the loop. So as of now, I remember I've been paid out like $200-300, which I'm never gonna turn down free money. So thank you. I'll claim it someday and sell it, but not right now. Uh, I was looking at how like the amount of rewards that gives, or how like it's composed, like how it's made in the ecosystem. And I don't think it's like a difference maker for someone who's not interested at all to go and participate all of a sudden, but I think it's not a bad amount. The amount definitely makes pretty convincing if you're already like pretty active on Optimism or base. You want to like I don't know, like you want to trade meme coins, or you have some money lying on around the base, and now there's some reason for you to say lend to Aave, try some random DeFi things. So definitely a net plus, net positive. I was looking at Silo and some other ways to farm liquid OP tokens and get APRs, and it wasn't too bad at all. I was actually looking at it, and I know 30 seconds ago I said it's not good enough for me to like make a different decision. But if your portfolio is like somewhere within like the 5 to low 6 figures range, I think you can put some money here and get some real money. I think we're getting sick and tired of points, and optimism tokens are real money by all means like purposes. And it did look like something ranging towards like 20 to 40% APR, which is pretty competitive if you think about it. So
Yeah, pretty
big thumbs up.
competitive.
Thank you,
Big thumbs
optimism.
up. All right. This is the Optimism Superfest got a thumbs up by by both Andy and
They're giving us free
yeah.
money. I give thumbs up.
You give thumbs up, yeah. And maybe my editor can just put some confetti
Yeah.
here to do some Superfest vibes. Like wasn't Silo exploited like some time ago?
uh, I'm not sure about an exploit. What happened during the Easy Eat, the Connects DPEG, was that they didn't successfully liquidate people. And what I didn't like about their approach was, I may be wrong here, but how I recall it was people who were kind of supporting Silo were shilling Silo, saying that they protected user money. And I was like, wait. So they didn't liquidate people, and now people are saying that was good, which I found to be kind of absurd because if the price goes down, the job is to liquidate people. You
Right.
shouldn't not liquidate people and then say when the price goes back up. Since we didn't liquidate people, we save money. You should say something horrible happened here. We need to fix this. So that's my only take on Silo. I don't think that a Silo's official opinion. It is just some people who support the Silo team or the Silo token. So I'm not going to take it with a grain of salt. But that's like something that happened once, and that's kind of like what I remember from it.
Yeah. Like one way, like because I'm like on chain and from like if I put my trader hat on, right? If I take my farmer hat off and like my trader hat on, I was also thinking, is there any way to bet on these tokens, right? Because if they're getting OP token incentives, maybe that can help adoption of protocol. For example, Spectra. I think this is formerly called EP1, and it's trying to be like a Pento competitor. Their TVL
Oh, it's
has
EPO. Okay.
yeah, their TVL kind of skyrocketed recently. Like, do you ever look at things like this? Like, is it worth? I mean, by the way, like I own zero Spectre tokens. I honestly don't care what happens to this project.
Did it have a
Uh,
token?
I think they have a token. I think it's called
Oh
Spec
yeah,
or
I
APY.
remember people showing AP1, so they must have a token. You're right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Like, do you think it's worth speculating? Like, worth speculating on these things like this? Maybe TVL continues to go up.
I think if you try these things and you like, personally, I'm not going to try these because I'm lazy. But if you try these apps and you think it's like a pretty seamless experience, it's perfectly fine to buy these tokens and speculate on them. My problem with these is that when I use like an on-chain yield leveraging platform, if I'm buying like 10k worth of yield tokens, like the Pendle YTs, that means I'm getting like $1 million of like 300, anywhere between like 300k to 500k worth of net exposure to the underlying token. So if the TVL is 25 mil, then I have a feeling that the slippage would be too big for me to fit in any size that I want to put into any of these like platforms. So I just don't use them at all and never get to find out like if they're good or bad.
Got it. So I guess the takeaway here is that, like if you have the time and you're interested, I guess,
You should
these
try them.
incentives, external incentives, it gives you like a good reason to, I guess, go to base, Fractal, Optimism, like whatever, like all these chains and use it. And if you have a good experience and you can potentially form a bull case, maybe it makes sense to buy those tokens. But generally, I think, it's the majority of these use cases is to just bridge USDC, ETH, whatever, just farm and dump and be happy with free money. Do you kind of agree?
It's kind of like nice if you use these apps and they give you their tokens kind of like as incentives for free, and you can kind of like try it out. If you like it, you keep them, and then you check back in 6 months, and oh my god, they've 10x now. They're $5,000 or $10,000. That's kind of my positive experience with a lot of these apps, less
Got
so
it.
than like buying the tokens and speculating on them.
Got it. Okay, that's I think that's enough time spent on Jumper and Optimism or just whatever the Superfest thing is. Let's move on to this thing. Another audience question I got is Hyperliquid. So Samurai, right? A big fan of the channel. Also a humble farmer army member. He believes he's a bull, right? He believes in this guy. This account name is called the $800 per point Hyperliquid retard. And he kind of goes over his bull case for why he thinks every point is going to be worth $800. I mean, like whatever, right? Like whenever you see these Moonboy maths, like what do you think? Like, and like in your head, like how many or how much are each points worth in your head for Hyperliquid? Because I know you farmed it pretty heavily.
Dude, why is he fudding? It's not worth $800. At least $20,000 per point.
Okay, okay. I mean, I'll be very happy. How many
Uh,
points do you have, if you don't mind sharing?
Around 100k, give or take.
Okay, so $800. I mean, that's you're a million. I
Yeah,
mean,
like the
there you
global
go.
economy, something around there.
I mean, obviously, I hope this happens. I only have like 1,500 points because I barely did anything. But I guess a more interesting topic is PURR, right? So I sold my PURR at like 8 cents because I'm stupid. Well, actually, maybe it was a little higher, but like under 10 cents essentially. And PURR has been one of the best performers. I mean, in the last couple of months, you hold it, you get points. You also get airdrops of I guess all these other tokens, right? Like you can see here.
Yeah,
Um,
endless.
yeah, endless. And I'm just gonna pick a random one. I don't know, like Jeff or something. Uh, yeah, I mean, look at this. Right? I mean, you get this airdrop, and Jeff, who's the founder of Hyperliquid, right? It just keeps going up. So I guess I don't like. I'm not really participating in this thing because I sold my tokens because I'm a mid curve. But do you still own your PUR? Did you sell? And yeah, like how are you playing this? If you don't mind.
So I think my airdrop was around 2 million per, give or take, and I actually sold most of my per on the first at 11 cents, and then on the second pump to 17 cents, and then I bought back at like 13 cents on a couple wallets. So I have around the same exposure, a little less. I think I have 1.75 million per total. I sold some today, so I think a little less. I've been selling the past day basically. I started selling today, and my thoughts on this is that it's a good token. I think it's representative of people's bullishness on one a app that definitely has PMF. That's been pretty rare in crypto for the past year and a half. And second, it is utility. Like most people when they hold things, they don't get anything. But in Hyperliquid, they get new coins, which feels good. The new coins go up, which feels even better. Now, I use this
Yeah,
as a
it's
counterpoint, saying that now if people are happy holding PER for these reasons, then that just means that it's overpriced. Because like you getting an airdrop and then the coin going up actually is only accounts for like 3 to 5% of the token's value, like to PER's the amount of dollar worth of PER that you're holding. So if people are so excited about this, then it's probably getting priced in for more than 5% of its value. So I was thinking, like, okay, like 20 cents, like pretty much new all time highs. I like the current price. I'm just gonna sell and see where it goes. So I started selling at 21 cents. I saw my TWAP ended at 20.4 cents today. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to sell if it's above 20 cents and see where it goes.
Got it. And I mean, the main reason, of course, there's like some speculative activity going on here, but one of the reasons PURR has done well is because you hold spot. Sorry, yeah, I mean, you hold spot and you get points, right? So let's say the airdrop happens next week, right? I mean, I have no idea when, but like when the airdrop happens, like what happens to all these tokens? Like, are they just going to go down, or can they keep going up? Like, what do you think happens there?
I'm only going to assume that they've already had a season 2 for points for the token. So what stops them from having a season 3, season 4, season 5, it's an L1, like a L1 liquidity mining, L1 incentivization, whatever, where using these spot markets gives you like incentives in hyperliquid tokens. If it's an L1, then that's definitely going to happen, and they're definitely not. They're not actually like Jeff is not actually going to airdrop 50% of the supply in the first airdrop, or I would assume so. So I think these on-chain tokens will have a continuous long-term flow of incentives. How much? How much is that, or like what that is kind of hard to value, or I have no idea. I'm just looking at the per price like kind of like fall live, and I'm like, oh, I'm right. Look at that, it's below 20 cents now. But anyways,
It's okay. I mean, if you didn't sell, it would be higher. So, I mean, this is your fault, right?
by
You're
very
causing
little bit,
pain to
yeah,
the PURR holders. You're literally top ticking selling here. But I mean, the chart looks good, right? I mean, higher highs,
yeah.
higher lows. I mean, I'm not going to bet
So
against.
overall, I think the people who are holding per at the end of the day will be moderately disappointed given current price. Of course, I'm selling, so I'm pretty bearish. But at any given price at the time of the airdrop, I'm only going to assume like if PER's at $1 when Hyperliquid airdrops, they'll be very unhappy with how much they're getting relative to the dollar that PER is worth. So my mentality is okay, so may as well just sell PER.
Got
That's my
it.
mentality. I think I think once the airdrop happens and people are disappointed, people will start selling. It'll go down a lot, and at that point, it'll be undervalued because I do believe that above all things, H Fund and Per will probably have longer term value, whether that be like on chain incentives and hyperliquid tokens or whatever it comes.
Got it. Okay. I think we talked enough about Hyperliquid. I think we're like 20 minutes in. We're almost 20 minutes in. So I do want to move on to the next topic. And, so I posted this, right? Like, what would you like us to cover this week? And, like I scroll down, Optimism SuperFest,
Oh, it's my type of
Hyper,
FUD.
Hyperliquid, yada yada yada. And there's a lot of these Infinex shills. There's like DeFi Isaac. I'm assuming he works for Infinex because there's like this logo. There's what is it? Shaman here, right? He's like a mod. Okay, cool. Infinex intern, right? He wants us to talk about Infinex. This guy intern. Okay, I
Okay.
mean, dust or moon. So like these Infinex employees, like whoever this guy, right? Head mod.
Okay.
Okay,
Head
like
mod. Okay.
people want us to talk about
Insane hit rate.
Infinex. Yeah, insane hit rate, and we did say we're going to be brutally honest about what these things are. So let's talk about Infinex. I mean, there's like this crate season, or like there's like this crate run where you bridge capital or you deposit capital, and then like, have you looked into this? Like, how does it work, like broadly?
I
And
have lightly looked into this, not too seriously. So I don't know. So if you actually know how this works, you probably need to tell me on it. I know like very casually the mechanism of this.
yeah, so to my knowledge, so maybe I don't want to spread misinformation, right? Because maybe we're not that educated. But I guess where we're both coming from is we saw this and we just kind of okay. I'm not going to speak
Idiot.
for you, but like for me personally, I looked at this, right? It's like Kane's project. It's trying to become this, some account abstraction, this DeFi wallet, one spot to trade, bridge, trade purpose and whatnot. And I'm like, like I don't want to farm this, right? It's like there's like I don't I feel like my capital is better off elsewhere. because like how much can this platform actually be worth? I'm not quite sure. And if you actually look at, I guess like the crate run basics, so when this first got announced, I went to the Discord and I asked some mods, and what they told me was that if you bridge, you earn like points and crates, and these crates give you an opportunity to get like some NFT that gives you access to like some token sale. And maybe if you bridge enough capital, you get like these things for free. But I think that's kind of how it works. So you bridge, you get NFTs. NFTs allow you to participate in some token sale at some like whatever the valuation is, and I think the valuation was like 100 mil or something, which was like, I do not want to buy, this project for 100 million. So I was like, okay, like I honestly don't care. That's literally how I thought about this. How did you think about this?
Pretty much the same. I looked at it and I was a little. I actually agree with Kane's like specific argument that just by bridging money on the platform, they convince people that this platform is worth. I think Kane had a specific tweet about it. I don't. I know you don't have it up, and so I'm going to quote him. It was like, if there's $100 million bridged to our Infinex app account extraction, that proves that people are willing to trust $100 million with us. That adds credibility to our platform, which is true. And right now, I'm like putting my thumbs up. You can't see it, but like I think that's a really cool idea. But, but I don't think that's enough for me to like be convinced to buy the app. Like as far as I'm concerned, synthetics hasn't been necessarily like the hottest perps as of now. So this new kind of like branch out using Infinix, using like these, I think it's using synthetics as like the underlying engine. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't
Oh,
seem like that bullish to me.
I think it's supposed to be like an aggregator of everything, like spot dexes, perp dexes, bridges.
Oh, okay.
It's trying to be this passport, like secure passport to DeFi. So you don't have to worry about, going to
It's kind of
Uniswap
like
or
more like infra.
Jupiter. Yeah, it's more infra, and I guess maybe they think that they can charge fees. Maybe
Okay,
who knows?
that's great. I just don't want to buy it. There you go. Like
Yeah.
I think there's too many steps between like me getting points to getting crates to buying some NFT to whatever. I think that's way too one. That's way too complicated. Two, his his huge thing like at launch, Kane or somebody on Infinex posted a tweet about how they're going to have a two-track system siloing off smaller wallets and bigger wallets to kind of like do something to make sure bigger wallets have enough upside while smaller wallets don't get diluted. And that made no sense to me because if there's a certain amount of rewards to be paid out to everyone who's playing in this pool, then if and you segregate it to whales or smaller like wallets, then somebody's getting a worse deal than the other. And whatever that is, I don't want to play that game because then I need to then like I didn't think it was good enough for me to like do research on do I need to like DM Kane saying I'm gonna put $2 million into Infinex, or do I need to cook up 3,000 wallets and deposit $1,000 each? Like there's two ways to go about it, and clearly, if I need to play this game, I need to know that, and then I need to know about the prizes and the crates and the NFTs. And I was like, okay, like I'm just not going to study that hard.
Yeah, maybe they try to make it fun, right? It's like, oh, you get these crates and it opens and you get NFT. But I think all like adding like all this complexity just turns me off at this point. And like I'm not even sure how much these things can be worth anyways. And then after that, the complexity, it's like, okay, like I have a limited amount of brain capacity, limited amount of time. I'm not gonna think about this, right? And I'd rather farm other LRTs and Scroll or Linea and whatnot. And speaking of which, like, what do you think about Linea's 17th season of Galaxy Quest? Are you still farming that thing? There's also like a bunch of all these things like Karak, Mitosis, Hyperliquid, or I mean, we talked about that, Hyperlane Scroll.
I've not done a single quest for Linea, so I have no idea. I just did the proof of humanity once because they told me to do it, and then farmed some points, and that is about it. Because I farmed like the
Right.
DeFi points, not the quests, so I have no idea what's going on in that front. I
You're
hope
right.
they stop doing it because the more they do it, the more airdrops they need to give to questers. Which I think I made that tweet a couple of days ago. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not that excited." Like, oh god, I'm so excited to share my governance rights with these happy questers. And I was being very sarcastic, and that's kind of how I feel about this linear quests or whatever that comes. Because the more you milk your community in these, the more unhappy that the farmers, like the questers, are. the more diluted my airdrop is, and the more likely people are to sell those coins. And if these chains or foundations or projects feel that they need to do this to feel like they're engaging more with the community, they probably could go ahead. But most likely is they're just pissing people off,
Right,
or
right.
making people at least like minimally tired.
Yeah. Like whenever these teams milk the community, I just view it as okay, like the team knows that once they do a token, like TVL is going to leave and their product is like just not good. uh, so they're going to just keep, delaying the token, just keep pushing things back. That's kind of how I view it. And you mentioned something interesting around, I guess, pissing the community off and then just dumping your tokens. So Lithio kind of brought this up. Would be interesting to hear how the mechanics of an airdrop criteria plays into price action. For instance, Eigen and Symbiotic maybe sees less dumping since there's no real cost to farm them, while Blast Blur had large farms trying to get to break even immediately. So, do you think this type of thought process has merit, or do you think that if it's easy to farm, then is it more likely that people will sell, or less likely? Like, how do you think about that?
Well, I don't know if Blast or Blur. Well, I know Blur was, but I don't know if Blast was hard to farm at all. For example, I think most of the Blur allocations were given to pretty straightforward, like deposit and earn type of like strategy. I think the people who kind of like grinded for Blast Gold and lost money on the way are a very vocal minority because they're like the degens. But I don't think that was like very representative of where the tokens went. For Blur, it's definitely not the case. I think people lost a lot of money farming Blur, so people were very clean to dump. So price action could be a little worse. In terms of Eigen and Symbiotic, I actually disagree that these have less sell pressure because I feel like the ones that are farming them are much bigger industrial, like bigger fund operations where their goal is to have crypto exposure and return more than 5% on their ETH to their LPs. So if they see Eigen token drop and they got like 12%, and they're like, great, like we've outperformed heavily, everyone's happy, all we need to do is sell the token. And they sell the token.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think the easier it is to farm, the more likely people are to sell. Of course, it depends on the project. I only farmed Blur season one. I bought like two pudgy penguins and some little pudgies, and then I just like fucked off for season two and whatnot. But I think the harder people work for an airdrop, it makes me believe that they're actually bullish the project, right? Because if you're not bullish
Yeah.
Blur, why would you farm it so aggressively? Maybe at this point, people just fucked up and there was like some, I guess, sunk cost fallacy, and maybe people felt trapped and whatnot. But yeah, I agree. Like all these LRTs, all these L2s, people just deposit capital to, earn 10, 20, 30% on their ETH. So I think we're going to just see people dump. Um, what do you think about like the airdrop meta right now? Because we kind of talked about it last week, but a bunch of these tokens are like just dumping. Do you ever feel like it's worth buying these tokens or just holding on to your airdrop, hoping to sell higher? Do you think that's kind of like a bad mentality to have and you just want to sell ASAP?
Well, for now, I think you still want to sell. I think the vibes will get better. I think the vibes definitely got better from the last time you chatted to now. I think
Yeah,
I feel a lot more lively. I feel a lot more eager to say good things about tokens because I'm in a good mood, and I think many people feel the same. Where when when the numbers become numbers we haven't seen before, we're at all time like we're hitting new all times high every single day, like we were in February, March. Like people were pretty excited about apps that now we call are trash, and I think the
right,
exact same thing will happen and in some time. I'm not going to give it time because I'm not the best trader out there where we on these chains or in crypto in general, we will be pretty excited about like apps that may not be like the most innovational out of all things, cough cough Frentech, but we will be like pretty excited to like play on these things. And now the valuations go up. Now people are incentivized or they're happy to be on these chains. And if they're happy on the chains, they're making money being on these L2s that we currently think are worthless. Now they have value. They have real users. We laugh at ZK Sync. We laugh at like whatever chain that did an airdrop because they don't have any real users anymore. But if price is high enough, then they will have users to make money, take the foundational grants, whatever. And I guess the bearish take is that it's very short lived, and these chains, these L2s or new L1s, whoever they are, only have maybe like a 6 to 12 month window to spend their ecosystem money to kind of get real user acquisition. But during that time, it'll look great, and during that time, coins will go up. I'm I'm pretty I'm moderately sure of that. I'm actually like pretty bullish coins in general. I'm not going to hold them. I'm just going to hold ETH, but I'm bullish that they'll go up.
Right. And you're bullish on yourself being able to sell higher, right? That's basically the thing you're trying to say.
I'm bullish markets. I'm bullish on the fact that most people who are kind of like degen enough to say listen to this podcast slash video or be on CT like replying or reading CT like 3 days like 3 hours a day will probably make like moderately significant sums of money just by like being around. I think that will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Like
No,
not
like,
losing that money will be a completely different story, but I think people will make lots of money.
yeah, I 100% agree. You know, yeah, I'm still pretty bullish crypto. I mean, I've been always bullish, but yeah, I think this year's been good, or it's been okay. Last year was a lot better. I think next year will be a lot more favorable. But the goal is to survive. So I think that's good for now. This was episode 1 of Farmers Market. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like I said at the beginning, we're literally just winging this. Maybe I didn't do Infinex justice in like I'm trying to understand their crate run and whatnot, but maybe they made it too complicated. So like maybe it's fair game. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the content. If you want more free content around crypto, DeFi, and on-chain farming, please check out the link in the description below for our free newsletter. Also, I run a premium community called the Humble Farmer Army, so if you're interested in that, I will also put the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye-bye.